Nate, you're the first ever commenter on the, what is this? The PigskinPeete podcast, or the Peete podcast. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. You know, considering the Clemson's in the friggin' toilet. Well, that's true. That game between Clemson and North Carolina is not looking so fun anymore, is it? For either team. Luckily, Clemson has 3 of their remaining 4 games are at Clemson. Not that that matters at this point, but it is something. I think the only road game they have left is South Carolina. They got 3 home games in a row. How many people do you think forgot that the Midday show is on this channel? Even though I talked about it for 3 weeks and posted something yesterday. There will be people, there'll be at least a handful of people that are regular viewers of the Midday show. They're going to be like, what happened to the Midday show? You stopped doing it? They'll eventually figure it out. I haven't even looked at this week's games yet. Where's it at? Well, I know who Clemson's playing because I'm going to it. Let's see here. Something happened. Hold on. I transferred everything over to this channel. It got all screwed up. Like some of the links didn't come over. Like the Patreon link's not in there. It's weird. The StreamYard link's not in there either. Let me put that in there. That's weird. Lou found the second channel. I don't know why my links didn't come over. All I did was copy the entire description from my midday show on the other channel and paste it in the description box here, and it's fucked up for some reason. I'll have to fix that after the show, but I don't think Lou will mind me talking about it. Yeah, there he goes right there. He got one of his old video removed. I think it was a Luanon video from the title. So it's the same thing that got me. They didn't strike his channel though. Luckily, they just took the video down. But what that tells me is they're going back retroactively now. And flagging people's videos that are old if they talk about a certain subject. Same subject I talked about. So they're serious about that, damn. They're serious about that. All right, I put the StreamYard link in there, so it's in there now. Let's take a look at the schedule real quick before we start the show. What we got here? Wake Forest and Duke lost, so they're pretty much out of it now. They got blown out. Ohio State at Rutgers. This game might be better than people think. Rutgers is pretty good. And then I believe... No. Who does Ohio State have after Rutgers? I can't remember. A&M and Ole Miss. Notre Dame at Clemson. What is Tennessee doing playing UConn in Week 10? The hell? Uh-oh, Nate. Nebraska and Michigan State. Uh-oh, we got cock-on-cock crime here. The Gamecocks versus the Gamecocks. This is like that ding-a-ling car wash. Cocks everywhere. Well, that'd be funny if South Carolina lost to Jacksonville State. Is Jacksonville State any good? Let's click on their name. They're 7-2 in second place in the Conference USA, so they're not bad. They might beat South Carolina. I'm not even kidding. That would be hilarious. That would be freaking hilarious. Boy, the the Fire Shane Beamer crowd will be out in full force if they lose to them. I'll tell you that. Missouri and Georgia is an interesting one. Missouri's ranked number 14. Now, they won't win, but I would say that's probably one of the tougher games on Georgia's schedule so far this year. Penn State and Maryland, Bedlam. Is this the last time we're going to see that game? I have a feeling eventually they'll get it worked out, but it'll be the last time you see it within the next couple of years anyway. Maybe longer than that, but something tells me they'll eventually figure out a way to play that game, but maybe not. I mean, there's no reason it can't. Louisville sitting at the top of the ACC, along with obviously Florida State. That's probably going to be your ACC championship game, if I had to guess, is going to be Louisville and Florida State. Which a lot of people actually had them preseason picks. I didn't have Louisville. They surprised me, so I was wrong. Better than I thought. It looks like that's pretty much it. No, keep going here. The Bicycle College and the Mountaineers. It's weird looking at my chat and not seeing any green names or any blue names. This takes me back. I'll give out some moderators at some point. I'm gonna make all the people that are members of the other channel moderators. I'll tell you what I'll do right now. I'm gonna make Nature Boy a moderator. Oh, he's gonna be the first one. Where are we at here? Purdue and Michigan. Oh, here we go. Washington and Southern Cal. Man, Southern Cal dropped all the way from the top 4 to barely in the top 25. I know what that feels like. Doesn't take long. A couple of L's, that's all it takes. Yeah. It'll be a little while. Look, the way it works, you got to figure live. First of all, live shows are going to be the least viewed shows on any YouTube channel. Everybody knows that. If you've got 50,000 subscribers, you're still doing good to get whatever a few hundred in there at one time, and then certainly maybe a couple thousand max watch it after it's uploaded. So it's a very small percentage of your subscriber base is going to watch your live shows. So the ones that have already come over here and subscribed, those are the real G's, as they say. LSU and Alabama. Is that where game day is going? Where's game day going this week? It's got to be there, right? That's a top 15 matchup. I guess it could be Georgia and Missouri. That's another top 15 matchup. LSU and Bama. Yeah, that's what I thought. And this one's actually interesting too, even though Colorado's fallen off the map. Oregon State and Colorado. Of course, Oregon State lost to Arizona. I called that. Well, I didn't call it. I said that it was a good chance that Oregon State could drop one to Arizona. Arizona is not as bad as we thought they were earlier in the season. They're one of the few teams that are getting better as the season goes on. Speaking of Arizona, they get UCLA. There you go. So there's a bunch of good games this weekend. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I'll be in Clemson. I'll be in Clemson on Saturday. And of course, it's a noon kickoff. And we don't have a room Friday night, so we have to drive up. Probably have to leave here at like 5:30 in the morning. Drive 3 hours. Or probably more like 3.5 hours with the traffic on game day. Go to our hotel room in the town over in Anderson, South Carolina. And leave our car there and then Uber into Clemson. Now, it's going to be a long day for your boy. Phil Stevens says, Lou is not a Christian. Drake May, I did the math. UNC can still make the ACC title. Yeah. All right. What's up, everyone? How you doing? What'd you guys do this weekend? Anything fun? I did. Welcome, everybody, to the first show. It's the episode number 160. We're getting close to the 200 episode mark. I'll have to come up with something. You guys know how to celebrate every 100 streams or whatever. I have to figure out something to do for the 200th episode. But today's the first episode on this channel. So if you're here, like I say, you're one of the real ones. And you also know how to read, which is more than you can say for half of the people that watch these shows. So, anyway, as you can see, there's no moderators, there's no channel members. There's only, what do I have, 143 subscribers over here at this point, so it's clearly not monetized. Not that I was making a bunch of money off of the Midday show anyway on the monetized channel, but if you feel so inclined to support the Midday show, obviously you can't super chat or buy membership over here. So the only way you will be able to do that is through the PayPal or Cash App for the time being. You guys know the deal. All right, let's see who's in here. Cheers to the chat. Third Nate is in here. Drake May, Alex, Slim Shady Canes, D. Taylor, Wet Blanket. Yeah, go Pokes. It's Bedlam week. Won't be able to say that much longer. What a shame that is. That's just a shame. Again, hopefully they figure that thing out sometime in the future and get that rivalry back on. I'm not an Oklahoma State fan or an Oklahoma fan. But that's a game I'm going to watch every year, along with the rest of the country that likes college football. So, Uncle Lou is here. Brad Pitt Sports Talk 101. VicTube. Uh-oh, Vic. I don't know if you're allowed on the new channel, buddy. I get this one shut down. I don't know why. I guess I'll have to start a third one then. I can't. Battle Angel, John Serrain. South Carolina fans have only one more game they care about now. Yeah, that's probably true. Zona, there's Zona, man. Big win for his team. Jeremy Garland. What's up, Jeremy? Phil Stevens. Jeremy Garrettson, big game for Nebraska this week. A game they should win. Yeah. All right. It is Monday. It is the Monday following yet another weekend of college football. There's got to be news.
Breaking news from the Pigskin Pete YouTube channel.
Who do I have, LSU or Alabama? Alabama. I have not looked at the lines yet. We'll look at it tonight on the Lunch Money Show. I don't typically try to look at them until either when the show starts or right before the show starts, just to get myself familiar with the matchups. But I don't expect the line to be that big. I'm sure some of you know what it is already. I would say it's going to be under a touchdown or right at 6 points or something. I can't believe they would be favored by more than that. It's in Tuscaloosa, isn't it? There you go. So there you go. 3.5. So there you go. If it's in Tuscaloosa, I believe. Am I right about that? If it's in Tuscaloosa, that accounts for 3 of those 3.5. So, yeah. Oh, I just hope it's a good game. I could care less who wins. Oregon coach Dan Lanning closes post-game with an extended speech on gun violence in America. Okay. Oregon football team got its biggest win of the season Saturday with a dominant 35-6 win over Utah, but head coach Dan Lanning used the end of his post-game news conference to look beyond football. Spent nearly 2 minutes discussing gun violence in America in the wake of the mass shooting that killed 18 people, joining the legions of people wrestling with how to limit the country's mass shootings. He went out of his way, said he did not want to make a political statement, instead describing gun violence as a multifaceted issue and questioning why action can't be taken on gun control, mental health outreach, and more. Well, I mean, there's a reason that a lot of the gun control people have failed year in and year out. It's because it's hard to penetrate the Constitution. And so here's the answer to that. Now, the mental health thing, I don't think anybody knows what to do about that. I mean, what do you do? You want to go back to the 1940s when you just call somebody crazy and lock them in an asylum for the rest of their life? I don't know. That sounds like a good idea until somebody calls you crazy and you're the one locked up in a mental asylum. Anyway. Speaking of Oregon, I know they lost to Washington. Are they the best team in the Pac-12? I think they might be the best team in the country. I'm not even lying. I think right now, if I were to make my top 4, I would have Oregon and Georgia 1 and 2 in any order that you want to put them in. I guess the only reason you'd have Georgia ahead of Oregon is because Oregon has a loss. But to me, they're the 2 most complete teams in the country. And I would not be surprised to see both of those teams play against each other later in the postseason. Everybody heard about this. Protest delays the start of number 24 Southern Cal versus Cal. So this is obviously at Cal. Somebody told me they were protesting the war in Israel or something, but according to this, these people have Justice for Ivan shirts on. That doesn't sound like a war protest to me. According to the statement released by Cal Police Department, the people were protesting the suspension of a professor. The protesters, many wearing T-shirts that read "Justice for Ivan," sat back to back in the middle of the Cal logo. Ivan del Valle, a Spanish and Portuguese professor, was recently suspended by the university for allegedly stalking and harassing a professor from another school. Police and security guards approached the group as the players from both teams stood and watched. The fans were eventually placed in handcuffs and escorted away. According to the police statement, 13 of the 15 protesters were Cal students. Well, that doesn't really tell us much, so I'm interested why they're upset. Like, what's the details? In other words, if someone gets arrested for stalking and harassing, I mean, there's got to be some sort of evidence that they're stalking and harassing somebody. And if they were, they probably should be arrested. Oh. I don't know. I don't know the details of that Ivan person. I'm just scrolling past all this bullshit. Ohio social worker accused of having sex with a 13-year-old client faces witness intimidation charges. Look at this woman. You guys think you could fix her? Come on, guys. She's not bad looking. She's fixable, right? Is it worth a shot? Oh. I'm going to scroll up here to the sports part of this thing here because it's just depressing. You know, when I was 13-year-olds, none of my hot teachers wanted to screw me. I think there's a college football tab on here too, isn't there? I think so. Yeah, NCAA right there. There we go. Clemson's stunning spiral continues. Well, Dabo's given up on the excuse making, hadn't he? He really has nothing left to say. He starts talking about we had a great run and all this shit. I'm like, uh-oh. Well, you know you're down bad when you start talking about what you did 5 years ago. Yeah. Every dynasty crumbles, every kingdom collapses, every empire ends. Who wrote this? Carolina Jackpot? Shit.
DeAndre Johnson! Who the fuck is he?
Clemson's reign over the ACC appears to be over. After the 24-17 loss to North Carolina State, the Tigers are 4-4 and 2-4 in the ACC. As is the case with any dynasty begins to crumble, there is an assortment of firsts. The first time since 2010, the Tigers have 4 losses in their first 8 games. First time since 2011, the Tigers lost back-to-back games. I can go through a bunch of firsts. First time the Dukes beat Clemson in fucking 30 years. First time Florida State beat Clemson in 8 or 9 years. You go back to last year, same thing with South Carolina. First time they lost to South Carolina in 8 years. What else? I know there's a bunch more. Oh, this will be the first non-10 win season, even if you include a bowl win, which they might not even make a bowl, in 13 years. A bunch of records broken, none of them good for the Tigers. The bad kind of records. The Tigers need to win 2 of their final 4 games, a slate that features home games against Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, and North Carolina, and then a road game against South Carolina at the end of the year. So what's going on with Dabo Swinney's team? First of all, they're having a real problem with turnovers. But you don't say. You don't say. They entered this week having lost 13 turnovers and gained 12, ranking 78th nationally in that margin. Against NC State, they finished with a 2-turnover hole, both from quarterback Cade Klubnik. So you say it ain't so, again. Who tossed 2 picks and had 0 touchdown passes. I wonder where we're standing at right now with our me and Uncle Lou's bet with the ukulele and clubfoot, because I know DJ's ahead in touchdowns because he already was, and of course he got a couple more this weekend, and clubfoot didn't get any. But I still think Klubnik had close to 300 yards and 65% completion percentage yesterday. Or not yesterday, Saturday. Clubfoot might still be winning 2 of those 3. I don't know. We'll have to look at that tonight. It's close, though, which is surprising because everyone's talking about how terrible Klubnik is, but how come DJ's not being called? He's getting the opposite treatment. You're calling him the best thing since sliced bread. Statistically, he's almost exactly the same as Clubfoot. So, now I'm not claiming that Clubfoot hasn't played terrible because he has. I'm just saying it's an unfair comparison between the two. DJ Klubnik. So that's it. That's the Clemson. The experiment with new offensive coordinator Garrett Riley and Klubnik doesn't seem to be working. The defense hasn't been the same group we saw years under coordinator Brent Venables. Yeah, I don't know. The defense, what are they supposed to do? When you turn the ball over every 3 seconds, that puts a lot of pressure on your defense. I don't think the defense has played bad. I think this is a better defense than we had last year. And in some ways, they're playing better than the year before. Brent Venables' last season at Clemson. They weren't great that year either. So, I mean, if they're comparing this year's Clemson defense to 2018 and 2017 and 2016, I mean, that's all-time defenses. That 2018 Clemson defensive line was one of the best defensive lines in the history of college football. I mean, it's again with the comparisons. Again, yesterday I had somebody leave a message on my State of the Fan address video. This is what Clemson looks like without Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. These people are friggin' idiots, man. I should just go on every Auburn page and be like, this is what Auburn looks like without Cam Newton on it. Yeah. This is what the team looks like without 10 first-round potential draft picks starting. I mean, come on. Of course. The fucking Chicago Bulls wouldn't have been nothing without Michael Jordan. Yeah, no shit. Only one team has a chance to fulfill the ACC's promise. What is the ACC's promise? They talking about college football playoff? Did they forget? They must have forgot about Louisville. If Louisville wins out, they're a one-loss team, aren't they? They would be a 12-1 ACC champ. They would get in. So whoever wrote this article, unless I'm wrong and Louisville has more than one loss, then I don't know what they're talking about. The ACC's hopes for a representative in this year's college football playoff seem to have been dwindled down to just Florida State. Again, false. Louisville's not winning out. Well, I didn't say they are. I said if. Let's not forget. I mean, does anybody think that a one-loss ACC champ is not getting in the playoffs? The Seminoles are 8-0, came in at number 4 in the latest AP Top 25. We'll see how highly ranked they are when their first batch of rankings from the College Football Playoff Selection Committee is unveiled on Tuesday night, but how the rest of the ACC fares may be more noteworthy. Only a few weeks ago, the ACC had 5 ranked teams with Clemson just on the outside of the top 25, but now it's down to just 2 with Louisville coming in at number 15. Louisville, 7-1 overall, 4-1 in ACC play, following a shutout victory over Duke. The Cardinals and Virginia Tech. Yes, Virginia Tech are the only 2 teams with just 1 loss in conference play. That's a shocking stat. Virginia Tech, only 1 ACC loss. Clemson's got 3. God damn, son. The Hokies' recent resurgence has been a promising sign for Coach Brent Pry. But a bowl berth is more realistic goal for Virginia Tech than getting to the conference title game. Yeah, I would agree with that. And they play each other this week, too. So Louisville and Virginia Tech square off Saturday, and sole possession of second place in the conference will be on the line. Even if Louisville wins, it will still need to win out and then upset Florida State in the title game to even sniff a college football playoff berth. So they do acknowledge that Louisville could win out and make the playoff. This is a contradictory article. Louisville has ranked wins over Notre Dame and Duke, but a road loss to a bad Pitt team loomed large. Yeah, I think they'll forgive that. I mean, the committee will. I feel like the committee will if you're a one-loss team, no matter which conference you're in, they typically give every team one mulligan. One game where they can go out there and lay a complete egg against a bad team, and they won't necessarily punish them for it. Now, if it comes down to picking that fourth spot between them and another team, then they'll start making those comparisons. So, who'd you lose to? How bad did you lose to them? All that. But just on the surface, one loss doesn't seem to be that big of a deal in the committee's eyes. Unless that loss is in a championship game. Or, like I said, getting blown out by a terrible team. The Tar Heels started the year 6-0 and climbed up to number 10. 2 weeks later, Mac Brown's team is unranked following ugly losses to Virginia and Georgia Tech. Tar Heels were significant favorites in both of those games. They were 24-point home favorites, the Virginia game. Man, anybody who had the balls to bet on Virginia on the money line, that must have been an insane money line. 24 points. What was that? It was probably plus 800 maybe. Does that sound about right? North Carolina has lost 5 of its last 7 games while being favored by 10 points or more. Jeez. Yeah. Good luck predicting what's going to happen in the ACC on a week-to-week basis. I mean, you're better off just blindfolding yourself and just throwing darts at names on a dartboard of who's going to win each week. I mean, I'm not even joking. We should do that. We should do that for the ACC show. We should have everybody pick all the ACC games this week. We could do this for the rest of the year probably. Then I have a dartboard. I can bring it up here. I don't want to put holes in my wall though. Then I could just write down all the ACC teams' name and tape them to the dartboard, and I'll put a blindfold on, and I'll pick the games that way. And I bet you I have as good a record picking the games the next week than the guys who picked them. Virginia was plus 1,300. God dang. It seems like every week Keyshawn Johnson is always in the news for something he said. Where is he even at? Like, is he on ESPN or Fox? What's he on? Keyshawn Johnson, a high-profile Southern Cal alum. He is a national sports commentator. He's a Rose Bowl MVP and champion. When he says something about USC, people notice. He has his opinions as a commentator, but he also wants USC football to matter. He has credibility within specific context of USC. He has specifically done things to help the Trojans on the field. He knows what it takes to make this program better. He knows what. Are you sure about that? Just like this is like the Ed Reed of Southern Cal, right here. Sorry, Mrs. Peete just came in here. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, he's the Ed Reed of Southern Cal. Right, bring in Keyshawn Johnson. He knows how to fix everything. Let's make him the chancellor or whatever the hell. Let's give him some kind of title. Does Keyshawn's tweet shown below mean that Alex Grinch is gone? Well, first of all, it doesn't take a football genius like Keyshawn Johnson to know that Alex Grinch is a fucking terrible defensive coordinator. I mean, anybody with a set of eyeballs that's watched college football for the past 5 years knows that. Where's his tweet? It says it's below. Oh, here it is. Keyshawn Johnson tweeted out on October the 28th at 5 p.m., I dislike our defensive coordinator. Now, the title of this article said that he called out Alex Grinch without mentioning his name. Well, I mean, I dislike our defensive coordinator. I wonder who he's talking about. It's a very cryptic tweet. Look at this. Hey, dude, boots. Check these out. Now, I don't like that particular style, but they're making boots now, bro. I love how that's a news story. Hey, news story. Alex Grinch is terrible. Could Ohio State and Michigan both make the college football playoff? Probably not. I don't think any conference is going to have two teams in this year. That's just my opinion. Many of the major bowl predictions have the Buckeyes in the Orange Bowl against Louisville December the 30th, and on the outside looking in the last four-team college football playoff. But one outlet sees a chance for two Big Ten teams in the college football playoff. According to Sporting News, Ohio State and Michigan are projected to make the playoff for the second straight season. The Buckeyes would face Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, and Michigan faces Florida State. Ohio State and Michigan each made the 2022 college football playoff, with each falling to Georgia and TCU respectively. Ohio State will face Rutgers on noon on Saturday, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so they went on this whole thing about one person thinks that they can both make the playoff, and they literally gave you zero reasons why they think that. I mean, okay. In order for that to happen, you're going to have multiple one or two loss conference champions across the country. Well, no, because a one-loss conference champion is going to get in ahead of whoever loses the championship game between Ohio State and Michigan, because they'll have the same record, but one will have a conference championship. And they do claim that is something they consider when comparing two teams, whether one's a conference champion and one's not. Ask the Notre Dame fans; they'll tell you. Now, how much that actually plays into it, I don't really know. Well, part of the reason is, what is this? Is this year 9 or 10 of the playoff? 9, I think. Whatever. What I've learned over the last 9 years since the playoff started is they changed their reasoning for how they rank a team on a week-to-week basis. It's sort of like the targeting rule on the field is like, it's so subjective that you could make a case either way for any targeting penalty. And they're not consistent. Well, the Ohio State, the College Football Playoff Committee is not consistent with their reasoning for how they rank teams. They put so many different factors in there that they can just rank people wherever they want and then point to one of those factors as where they ranked them and ignore the other 12. You know what I mean? Number one thing is clearly record. That's the only consistent thing in their determination of the rankings is who's got more wins and who's got more losses. After that, it gets muddy. What's up, Jay? So here's another article here about Alex Grinch. I don't know, what are they waiting on? This is a bizarre, this is one of those situations where you just go ahead and fire him now. You're not making the playoffs. the chances that you're even going to make the Pac-12 championship and or win it are slim to none. I know probably mathematically it's still possible, but it's not possible if you watch them play. What are they waiting on to? I would go ahead and fire him now. Fire him now, and you get a 2-month head start on your coaching search for a new defensive coordinator. I mean, if you already know you're firing him at the end of the year, why wait? I'm sure whoever, position coach, the defensive line coach or the linebacker coach or the defensive backs coach or any of them or all of them in a collective effort could do just as good of a job for the remainder of the season as Alex Grinch can. So we won't be losing anything except for a bad coordinator. Articles that nobody on the planet outside of the state of Tennessee will read for $500, Alex. Josh Heupel previews Tennessee football versus UConn. What a snooze fest that would be. That's got to be a Tennessee publication. Yeah, Knoxville News. Nobody outside of Knoxville is reading that article. Not a single person. I got a question, and this just came to mind about Dan Lanning in Oregon. Because the funny thing about Oregon is they have the Nike money, right? They're a big brand. I mean, they have all of the things that is needed in major college football to succeed, attract recruits, make TV money, like everything you could think of. It's one of those teams. How many of those teams are there? I don't know, maybe a dozen on that level. But for some reason, for the elite, the top tier head coaches, right? The guys that could potentially make $8, $9, $10 million a year in today's salary with the big contract and all that. For some reason, I don't think a lot of people consider Oregon to be the destination hire. In other words, you see a lot of coaches go there and do well and then move on somewhere else. I guess what I'm getting at here is with the success that Dan Lanning is having at Oregon, is there a potential, if there's a big-time job opening, which I consider Oregon to be a big-time job, obviously, that's why it's confusing, would he consider going somewhere else and use Oregon as a stepping stone? Or would it be a good idea for him to just stay there and make Oregon a national powerhouse for many years to come? We all want to know what it comes down to is the almighty dollar. But Oregon has an endless supply of money. So I think he'd leave for the right big time. Yeah, that's kind of my point. Like, now he wouldn't leave Oregon or even consider leaving Oregon to go take a lateral job. I'm talking about a big time SEC job, a big time Big Ten job, right? A Michigan job. Let's say that Hairball has had enough of the investigations and says I'm Audi 5000, I'm off the NFL, or I'm retiring, or whatever the case is. And so Michigan's scrambling around looking for their next head coach. Would he consider going to Michigan over Oregon? Is that a better job? Same with Ohio State. Same with Tennessee. Same with all the big name, the big hitters, LSU, the big brands, Alabama. It's interesting. I don't know exactly how many quote unquote better jobs, bigger, better jobs are there than Oregon. There can't be that many. But it seems like they have a hard time nailing down a coach for the long term. Dan Lanning to Clemson. You know what? If Dabo did retire or get fired, which isn't happening, by the way, but we're playing fantasy land right now. If he did, Dan Lanning would be on my short list of coaches that I wanted to succeed him. No doubt. He'd probably be in my top 3. But Clemson does not have the money that a lot of these other, big, giant universities in the Big Ten and the SEC have. They just don't. I'm actually kind of shocked that they were able to come up with a contract as big as it is for Dabo. $115 million contract over 10 years is a lot for a place like Clemson. It's not a big school. But apparently and luckily, they do have some alumni with extremely deep pockets, if you know what I mean. Nothing like a Texas A&M or an LSU or, Texas. Certainly not as much as Oregon. So now that the college football playoff rankings are coming out, I think on Tuesday is the first ranking. We're going to start to hear a lot more, and I guess I will be talking about it too. When I say we, I mean people on YouTube and that cover football. The playoffs is really almost right around the corner if you think about it. Not far away. So we're going to start hearing a lot of projections of top 4. Of course, the last season where we have 4, next year it goes to 12, which will be exciting in a different way. But anyway, so you're going to start hearing a lot of projections for the playoff. Even though those projections are going to change on a weekly basis for the next 4 weeks because some of these teams that are being projected are going to take a loss. I mean, it's inevitable. Not everybody that's in the top 4 right now is remaining undefeated for the remainder of the year. It's not happening. Well, in some cases, it's impossible because some of them play each other. There should be no complaints or controversies in 2024 because if you're not in the top 12, then you don't belong. But for now, it starts Tuesday night with the first college football playoff rankings and how appropriate it is that it's Halloween. Damn it. I just remembered that. Tomorrow's Halloween. Now I got to figure this out. Halloween. I got to take the kids trick or treating, or the repeat, the youngest one. I got the ACC show, which we could just do. What time do the rankings come on? 7 maybe? I should be fine. I'll run the kid around the block a couple times, get back in time for the show. I guess the first part of the ACC show will be us watching the rankings tomorrow night. Well, that is if Sea-Dog shows up. He's only made one show, I think, in the past, like 5 of them. But him and Rec Talk do 18 shows a week. He's got time for that. I just want to see this guy's projections here. First 4 in: Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, Florida State. First 4 out: Washington, Oregon. They messed up here. They have Washington at 8-0, and right below them they have Oregon at 8-0. That's wrong. Oregon does have a loss. Texas 7, Alabama 8. Oklahoma 8B. Now we're doing A and B. Just make them 9. What? 8B. Let's simplify it where we are right now. Any one-loss SEC team or Big Ten champion, Penn State, Missouri, Mississippi included, still control their own destiny if they're conference champions. The same thinking does not apply to the Big 12 or the Pac-12 championship champions. The ACC, it's undefeated Florida State or bust. No. Why do people keep saying this? It's undefeated Florida State or bust. That's just not true. I mean, the chances that Louisville wins out and wins the ACC are low. I understand that, and I don't predict that to happen. But if it does happen, Louisville's getting in the playoffs. Why does everybody just keep saying it's Florida State or bust? Especially since if Louisville was to win out, Florida State would be one of the ones that they beat. So, along with several other ranked teams. All right. So his projection for the top 4 is the top 4 right now. I mean, how groundbreaking is that? Let me just pull up the top 4 in the AP right now, and I'll make that as my prediction for the top 4 in the playoff. Yippee. Less than zero thought goes into that. Big Dog Brett just sent me a message on my community post. What's the link to the new channel? See, I told you guys. All he has to do, literally, is scroll down one more post. The post that I posted last night at like 10 o'clock at night. That has the link to the channel in it. What's up, Chunky D33? Brett's been busy making flat earth videos. I wish I still had that damn video. I don't know what I did with it. Maybe I do have it. I don't think I do. Easy, one of the funniest videos I've ever seen, though. That guy does... The flat earth guy sounds exactly like Big Dog Brett. Matter of fact, the first time I played it, the people that were listening in the comment section thought it was Brett until I told them it wasn't. I'm looking for it now. I don't think it's on here. I don't even know what I did with it. Anyway. Another one. Florida State looks like the ACC's only hope for a college football playoff bid. I will tell them it's the most likely one, right? I understand that. But only hope? No. On 3 has Jaden Daniels as a Heisman leader after week 9. A note to self, and if Uncle Lou is still listening by chance, we need to look up the Heisman odds tonight. I haven't even looked at those since probably like week 3. So I don't know who's on there and what the odds are now, but five analysts predicted the Heisman favorites, and all 5 picked them. Daniels at number 1. Number 2 is where there are a few discrepancies. 3 out of the 5 analysts, Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 2, and the other 2 have Michael Penix Jr. Coming in at number 3 was either Harrison, Bo Nix, or J.J. McCarthy. Daniels has put up phenomenal numbers so far this season. He has thrown for 2,573 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. That's pretty good. He also has 91 carries for 521 yards and 5 more touchdowns. He's putting up numbers that are comparable to the numbers that Joe Burrow put up in 2019. If Daniels is able to lead LSU back to the SEC championship game and possibly the college football playoff, there is no doubt that he should be the Heisman favorite. Yeah. Well, it is a stat award, and those are extremely impressive stats after 9 weeks of football. There's no doubt about it. So, yes, if they win out, they beat Alabama this weekend, they go on to the SEC championship, beat Georgia, most likely Georgia, right? Then, and he looks good doing it and makes the playoffs, then yeah, he certainly would be considered and should be. All right. I'm going to go ahead and go to the stream. Welcome to the show, sir.
I actually don't think LSU has a chance to make the playoffs with 2 losses.
Probably not. Yeah, I guess they would be one of those ones that would be considered, considering how they got there at the end of the year. But I'm with you. Probably not.
Now, I mean, if anybody's got a chance, it's probably a 2-loss SEC champion.
Yeah, right. Because we haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen a 2-loss SEC championship. Yeah. So.
But we did see a 2-loss SEC champion make the BCS title game, so
yeah,
I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility.
It's certainly possible. I think this is the perfect situation because I think if LSU did win out, what do they have, 2 losses?
Yeah, they lost to Florida State and they lost to Ole Miss.
Right. I think that they would be heavily considered as possibly the first 2-loss playoff team. Again, that's going to really what's going on in the Pac-12 is going to really determine a lot with the playoff picture. Because
I mean, now you say a 1-loss ACC champ wouldn't get left out. I could see a scenario where Louisville gets left out. I mean, let's be honest. Most of the playoff committee doesn't know a wiffle ball bat from a soccer ball.
All right.
And brand names probably figure a lot more highly into the equation than what we think.
Yeah. I'm still again, it depends. If you have multiple, like let's say, like for instance, if Washington wins out and they go 12-0 and then they win the Pac-12, they go 13-0, they're in.
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
If you have an Ohio State or a Michigan win out, they're in, undefeated conference champ. The same thing with Georgia and the SEC. They went out 13-0, they're in. Then that 4th spot becomes more difficult for a 1-loss ACC team because you have a bunch of undefeated teams, and then you'll have another bunch of 1-loss teams to pick through for that 4th spot. And
you'll probably be looking at a 1-loss Big 12 champion,
right?
Likely.
Right. So that's the situation, but I don't. Well, first of all, Ohio State and Michigan can't both go 8-0 or 13-0. They have to lose to each other once or twice.
No, and the most likely scenario I see, and me and Uncle Luke kind of went back and forth for a minute on this in the comments of one of his videos. I don't care if the Big Ten says, well, Michigan can't play in the Big Ten title game. They'll put in a 12-0. The committee will put in a 12-0 Michigan.
Yeah, that's interesting. Probably.
I mean, given they put in two teams with a single loss that didn't play in their conference title games, and two teams with a single loss that lost their conference title games, I think the committee would put in a Michigan even if they don't play in the Big Ten title game.
Yeah.
That's where I think you may end up with two Big Ten teams.
Yeah. I'm not convinced that's going to I'm not convinced you're going to be shut out of the championship game, though. I mean,
I'm not convinced it's going to happen, but there's a lot of rumblings about it.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's fun to say that here we are going into week 10. It's fun to sit around and project the top four at the end of the year, but it's going to change every week. I mean, somebody, and again, we see it every week. We see teams that, I mean, like with Virginia beating North Carolina, and with Georgia Tech winning their game. There's games every week that are head scratchers, and we're going to see that, continue to see that each week. So most of it's going to take care of itself.
Poor Tar Heel, man.
Poor Tar Heel, man.
I would, if Luke wasn't such a smug ass, I would feel bad for him, but I don't.
Drake May. I wish he would come on the air when they're losing like that, because imagine what he sounds like when he's excited or mad. I think he probably sounds exactly the same.
He does. I mean, we've heard him. I mean, supposedly he said he was pretty upset, but
yeah, it's hard.
Someone tells me he's like that Indiana guy that calls into your call-in show sometimes.
Yeah, I think he's mad at me.
He's even keeled.
I think I hung up on him one too many times. He stopped calling in.
Oh, poor fella.
But Luke could win the Powerball, or his dog could die, and you wouldn't know which happened. It's like you have the same demeanor for both situations.
Yeah, and it's funny. Miami fans are saying basically the same thing about Van Dyke, and it's pissing them off.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you want him to do? You know, pitch a fit on the sideline and throw his helmet and everything else when he throws a pick? No, I want somebody that can stay level-headed when they throw a pick. That means, you know, they're ready to go out and make the next play.
Yeah. I can't make everybody happy on when I do, because I've streamed virtually every Clemson game except for when I was in jail, and I guess that's the only one. Anyway, people could get upset with me. They go, "You don't get mad enough whenever Clemson loses. We want to see you get more mad than you're getting." And then the next person comes on there and tells me, "I've been watching for the past hour, and all you're doing is whining and complaining and crying." I'm like, which is it?
Yeah, which is it? Like on of that Dr. Pepper commercial where the guy's like, that sucks, but and they got the girl is like, "You're not taking it hard enough."
Yeah.
That's like the people that basically try and get Lou to plan out breaking a TV when Georgia loses.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I don't manufacture my reaction to anything.
Yeah. No.
It's just whatever I feel. And look, the more losses that pile up, the less of a reaction I have to it because I expect it.
Right. It's like we say every year, too. I mean, you wouldn't, if you're expecting your team to have a 3 or 4 loss season, you're not necessarily going to be mad when they're sitting at 6-2. And a couple of losses that you expected aren't losses.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I like when Clemson turns the ball over or fumbles on the goal line, I don't even get mad. I laugh because it's comical at this point.
Yeah.
You know, when we were watching the Miami game, me and Mrs. Peete were watching the Miami game together, and I've seen her mad before at Clemson or watching a game. This might take the cake. She was yelling at me like I was the one calling the plays. And then after the game is over, she's going on and on and on and on, and she's madder than a wet hen. And and then she looks at me. She looks at me, and she's just like going off. I'm not saying a word. I'm just watching her. And then she looks at me, and she gets mad at me because I'm not as mad as she is. She goes, "Are you not pissed off right now?" I go, "You're pissing off enough for both of us, honey." Shit. Right. Somebody's got to stay calm in this house.
I mean, I could see it a little bit because that was probably the first game where you really saw a breakdown in Clemson's defense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Clemson's defense has been keeping Clemson's offense in all of these games, with the exception of that one. I mean,
because I can't remember the last time somebody rushed for 200 plus yards against Clemson.
Well, it's been a while.
You know, it's like the commentators brought up during the game. That 80-yard run in the first quarter was the longest run Clemson's given up in 14 years.
Yeah. Jay, you can't. There's no join on this channel. It's not monetized. I've got to get 1,000 subscribers before I can even apply for that. So.
But yeah, I mean, Miami fans are so upset. Coop went live for like almost 4 hours last night.
Wow.
And just let people call in and cry about the QB situation at Miami.
Yeah.
Wow, 4 hours. Wow.
I mean, these Tide Pod eaters legitimately want to start a true freshman the rest of the year.
Yeah, I got a little bit of hell for that because I'm calling for Cade Klubnik to be benched, but I'm not talking about benching him indefinitely. I'm just talking about for half a game, a quarter even, something.
Yeah. Well, there were a lot of them that wanted to start Emory Williams, which I think is brain dead. And a lot of them wanted to start Ja'Cory Brown, who hasn't seen the field all year. And we saw him play last year, and we saw him play in the spring game. I mean, he's even less accurate than Lamar Jackson throwing the ball.
Oh.
I mean, it just is what it is. That's why he redshirted this year.
Wilkie says it's 500. Oh, you can get monetized at 500 subs now? See, that's how long I've been.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think so.
When I first came on YouTube, you had to have 500 subs just to even live stream.
I think it's, well, now anybody can live stream.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now with 140 subscribors.
Yeah.
I think it's 500 for like super chats and maybe the joins in that.
Yeah.
It's 1,000
for ad revenue.
YouTube for ad revenue.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I can guarantee you this. I won't be doing any sleep streams or anything like that to get my watch hours up like these morons do.
Yeah, I remember when it used to be you had to have 500 subs to get the community tab.
Oh, that reminds me. Speaking of sleep streams, I don't know how many of you still subscribe to Sleeta.
No.
He posted a video yesterday letting everybody know that he was taking a break from YouTube.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you watch the video?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
No, I didn't.
He goes, this isn't one of those videos where I'm trying to get sympathy from people, but, you know, sometimes I just need a break. It's mentally and this and that. And anyway, all this stems from him. He's supposed to stream the Falcons game, but he decided he didn't feel like streaming it, so now he's taking a break from YouTube. Well, I knew immediately watching that video that he did. Anytime anybody goes out of the way to let you know they're taking a break from YouTube, they're not taking a break from YouTube. All right, that's just number one. So I was thinking in my head, he'll be uploading videos by tomorrow. His break will be one day because he just didn't feel like streaming the game. Instead of just being like, I'm not streaming the game today, see you tomorrow, he had to make it a big deal about he's taking a break. Well, I happen to follow Sleeta on Twitter as well. 2 hours later, after he posted I'm taking a break from YouTube because I need a break from this, he's making videos and posting them on Twitter.
Well, that's Twitter. That's not YouTube.
It's the same thing, man. He's making videos on his phone the same way he does it on YouTube and posting it on Twitter, just not on YouTube.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That guy's a piece of work.
That's kind of like his series Life Off of YouTube that he posted on YouTube.
Oh yeah, yeah. My life off of YouTube on YouTube.
God bless him, though. I mean, we have to have something to laugh at in these trying times.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's so funny. He's like, I'm not. My break has nothing to do with the fact that I'm not making any money, and this and that. It's like. I'm taking a break, but here's my Cash App.
Yeah.
That's what he does. Anyway. Vic, what are you going to be for Halloween?
Oh, nothing. I mean, I'm gonna be me. Yeah.
So you're going to be an internet personality for Halloween?
Yes. Yes.
You should get yourself like a big knife, like a kitchen knife, and like, I don't know, get a piece of cardboard or construction paper or something, and make a YouTube logo out of it, and then just start stabbing the YouTube logo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you're the channel killer.
That reminds me.
You're like the Michael Myers of YouTube.
Yes, that reminds me. Yeah. Did you ever watch the hype and hate video that I made for YouTube?
You made a hype and hate video for YouTube?
Yeah.
Yes, he did. It's amazing, and you need to watch it.
Really?
Yeah, Slim.
Oh, yeah, he was trashing YouTube for putting you in jail.
How did I miss that? What? I'm looking for it right now. When did you make this?
Well, it was. I think this Friday will be 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I was going to ask you about it, but then you were out of town. And,
yeah.
And then I just forgot. So.
I'm subscribed to Vic. Now, I'm not on this channel, so I had to search you. But and I do get notifications. I don't know how I missed that one. It happens, I guess. Where are we at here?
It does happen.
Yeah, it happens.
VicTube versus YouTube 2023 hype and hate. All right, here we go.
Hey.
Here we go.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Well, I have hey, YouTube. I've got beef with you. You banned Peete for 7 days. Yes, you fucked Peete over, and when you fuck with Peete, you fuck with all of us.
Yeah, you tell him, Vic.
I mean, all I was doing, all we were doing was we were talking about a conspiracy that not us,
Hold on now.
Some other.
I gotta stop it here, Vic. You're not about to say something on here that's gonna get this one shut down, are you?
Well, I don't know. It has me saying a lot of bad stuff about YouTube.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
Taken down or not.
Do you say anything else about the unmentionable subject?
No, I just say that.
Okay.
We were just talking about some things that some nut jobs were saying.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. I gotta be careful here with you. All right.
People believe, and the article I was reading was actually debunking this. And if you watch the stream, we were actually making fun of those people about the FEMA emergency broadcast, and something that in the people who got the COVID vaccine is supposed to activate
Vic.
something.
I thought you said you didn't say it.
What did I?
Yes. You're explaining exactly. I can't watch it now. I have to watch it off the air.
Yeah. Okay.
Damn it, Vic.
Sorry.
I'm starting to think you're doing this on purpose now. Well, not for nothing. I do appreciate you sticking up for me.
It's the thought that counts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked that man, I said, you're not about to say what got me shut down, are you? And then he goes right into explaining it.
Yeah, if I had heard that part, I'd have warned you because I had just slipped the headphones off to talk to the guy loading me.
Yeah. Anyway, you got to go trick or treating tomorrow night too, don't you, Slim?
Unfortunately, no.
No.
No, I won't be home.
Oh. Well, that sucks.
Yeah, but what are you gonna do? I mean, we went out and did some stuff last night because normally the weekend before, normally it's Saturday, but it rained Saturday, so they did it Sunday. You know, a lot of the churches and stuff will do like a trunk or treat.
Yeah.
And we went around to 2 or 3 of those last night.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, we're gonna go to the county fair on Thursday, so that'll be fun. I guess tomorrow I'm just gonna have to put out candy on the porch and say take one of those things, so they're not ringing my doorbell during the ACC show.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be the universal sign if you turn off your front porch light that, hey, we don't have any candy.
Well, as it has, as luck would have it, my porch light just burned out. I haven't changed it yet, so I can't even turn it on.
There you go.
So I guess that's an excuse.
I mean, I turned my porch light off, and you know, people would still come ring the doorbell, but
Vic is trying to be the only channel left on YouTube. Yeah, I see what he's doing.
well, I mean, Vic's kind of got a point. I mean, he does go through and explain it. They didn't take his video down.
That is true. But I'm probably on some list somewhere now.
Well, now here's a question. Do you think that, like, you know, Vic is more or less setting people up on YouTube for YouTube?
Yeah,
Like,
so
he's safe, but on anybody else's channel, it's coming down.
yeah, he's working for the man, what you're saying.
He's a mole, yeah.
Yeah,
Double agent, if
it's
you will.
an inside job.
Yeah.
That is a good strategy. Go around to all the other college football channels and get them shut down so you own the market. Then you don't have to worry about, then you own every slot. A plant even. What's up, Mike?
Hi, how are y'all doing?
How are you doing?
You know, I'm one of those, what do they say, long-time watchers, first-time caller?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, good. One of my favorite kind.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm usually silent, and that's probably best that I am. But, you know, I just want to, the popcorn thing, just to let you know, I come from, you know, the Star Wars people and the superhero people. That's where I saw the live stream. Always have been a college football fan. And when fans, and this happens in college football as well, start fighting with each other and being toxic, I enjoy a big old bucket of popcorn. So
Yeah.
that's why the name is there.
Don't we all, though?
Yeah.
We do. We love it. Well, that's why we watch all these things. That's why I watch Uncle Lou. I'm a Georgia Tech fan. Grew
My
up that way.
condolences.
Thank you. I was born that way, and now my other siblings decided to become Georgia fans because we were raised to root for Georgia when they were not playing Georgia Tech, and then I did the same thing, but when I got a little older, people started barking at me. So I've been loyal to Georgia Tech, and I really don't know why. Georgia Tech has been on a downward spiral since Bobby Dodd decided to leave the SEC. We've had a few good coaches and a few good years, but not the consistency that they used to have 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, you may have made the right choice because if you heard earlier what he said about Big Dog Brett, it's been scientifically proven that on average, if you're a Georgia fan, your IQ drops 14 and a half points.
14 and a half.
Also, for you to know this, I will be loyal to Georgia Tech, although it's getting difficult. I'm a man of 60 years old, and I don't know how much I can take this inconsistency because, you know, he left the SEC when I was 3 years old. And so I have lived a life of, you know, a few good seasons, a few good coaches. You can point to 3 or 4 good coaches, but not the programs that you see that are elite. You know, maybe for 1 year, a good year, 2014. I think 2014 was the last time Tech beat Clemson. But my brother-in-law went to Clemson. And I have health problems now, so I haven't been since COVID. But for 30 years, I went to at least 1 game, if not 2 games, to Clemson. So I understand, you know, the ACC and the SEC pretty much, you know, living here north of Atlanta.
Yeah.
So that's all you need to know about me.
Well, it could be worse. You could be a South Carolina fan. I mean, at least Georgia Tech has won something.
You know what? My unbelievable, incredible nephew married the sweetest girl, and she went to South Carolina. I just don't know what to say, but she's the sweetest girl in the world. I don't, you know.
Bless their hearts. That's all you really can say.
Oh yeah, the guy at church. He's a Florida fan. He lived in Florida, and his wife is a South Carolina fan. So they're decent. Those two are decent people. But I've been to a Clemson South Carolina game. It's
Now,
very interesting.
where was it?
One.
Was it in Clemson or was it in Columbia?
It was at Clemson.
All right. Yeah, two different experiences there.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, Slim came to Clemson last year, along with Traveling Fools and some of Slim's family.
Yeah.
To the Clemson and Miami game. From what I can tell, Slim enjoyed himself there.
The run down the hill is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, the only disappointment is that somebody else that went with us decided to park 2.5 miles from the stadium instead of forking over a couple of bucks more to park a little closer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But outside of that, no, it was good. I thought it was cool. I liked the stadium.
Yeah, and we hung out downtown. Well, if that's what you want to call it, the one street that is downtown Clemson. We hung out there.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the Esso Club, which is a little down the street.
Yeah,
we had dinner there.
Yeah, we went there.
It's a fun little town.
I'll be there this weekend.
Yeah, I hope you guys do well.
Yeah. I'm not counting on it, but I'm still going. It'll still be fun. I've been to a Clemson and Notre Dame game before. Notre Dame travels well. And so even though Clemson's got 4 losses, I have a feeling it's still going to be a pretty good atmosphere there.
I would think so. I would think that it would be well, Clemson. I've been there, and and Georgia Tech. It's easier to get around the Georgia Tech campus because it's smaller, and usually you take MARTA, and that's going to be your longest walk. I did. My dad did know somebody that had season tickets, and that's we had a parking deck real close, and so it was easier to get around. With Clemson, it is. I mean, the tailgating is everywhere, and I don't know how much of a radius of a mile, but tailgating is everywhere. But I will say that there's nothing like a game time at Clemson. There is some. It's the pep is really there. It's but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm planning on going to the Miami Georgia Tech game in Atlanta next year.
Is that the kickoff game?
No, the kickoff game is going to be against Florida in the Swamp, and I'm going to that one as well. I didn't make it to a game this year, so I'm going to try and do 2 next year to make up.
Yeah.
So of course we're going to do. I'm planning on doing Gainesville to kick off the season, and then Atlanta's only 5.5, 6 hour drive for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And if I go by myself, maybe I'll just invade Rec Talk's place and sleep on his couch or something.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it's kind of crazy, around here, with all the teams and everything. And of course, I would say that 3/4 of the state, are Georgia fans, but you do have a lot of fans, Auburn fans, Clemson fans. Atlanta's kind of a transit city, so you have all different kind of fans here. And
here in Memphis is that way. I mean, because of where it's located, obviously you have Memphis fans, you have Ball fans, you see the occasional Vanderbilt fan, but Oxford's only an hour and a half away, so you got a lot of Ole Miss fans. Arkansas is right across the bridge, so you got a lot of Woo Pigs around here, and you got a bunch of Starkville's right at about 2 hours away, so you got a lot of Mississippi State fans too.
Yeah, Memphis is like that. My question is to you. I know that FedEx is working on that stadium. Do you ever think that Memphis will go to a Power 5 conference?
They should.
I think that they have a team to do it.
I think they can. Yeah.
I think the ACC should have picked them up.
Yeah, me too.
I totally agree that because you've got the, like I said, the FedEx backing and everything like that. That they're good in basketball. I think it's a no-brainer. I don't know what their academics are like because that always seems to be a hang-up with the ACC and the Big Ten. They're just not an ACC type of school.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. There's a few people, that are in our conference that you probably could have said that at first. I mean,
Florida State. I mean, they were all girls clown college.
I was tiptoeing around that, but now they're academically in there. I'm not so sure about Louisville. I'm not trying to cut down.
Yeah, see, Louisville has a. I'm not sure. Some of it might have to do with post grad. I know they have a very like one of the best law schools in the country.
Okay.
And they might even have a medical school there too. I know they have a law school.
But I think Memphis could definitely improve in that, and that's always been a problem with me. Being a Georgia Tech fan and used to losing. I mean, I'm not trying, to cut down the old program, but I watch a lot of college football objectively, and I do get really mad when there's a lot of people. Not all Group of 5 teams are made equal, and I really do take exception to that because I think there's some Group of 5 teams that want to play football. Their industry, I mean the programs want to play football, where the other Power 5 teams are not even doing that. And I'm looking at Georgia Tech. We could have some consistency if they gave a little more money to the football program.
Yeah.
Well, I do think that there's a legitimate argument out there whether the administration of Georgia Tech, outside of the athletic department, cares at all about football.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and they're in the hole. When they made improvement to certain stadiums, so they're in debt. It just doesn't seem like, that the athletics is being run correctly.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. It's been that way for a while now too.
It has been. I mean, it was, and also, like Homer Rice in the 90s, he retired, but he was the athletic director for a long time. I think he was there when Bobby Dodd was there. I mean, all the way to maybe Bobby Ross, maybe O'Leary, and possibly Chan Gailey. But he made the comment, he's like, Georgia Tech fans should never be used to them winning nine games or more. We're an athletic school. So it's very hard after 60 years of seeing, well, Brent Key is going to turn them around. And it may be too early for me, but it's hard after 50 something years. I'm 60 years. So obviously I wasn't a fan when I came out of the womb, but rooting for Georgia Tech, ever since I was a kid, it was very difficult, to keep seeing this inconsistency. And by the way, I live north of Atlanta. So speaking of inconsistency, the Atlanta Falcons, and it gets old after a while.
Yeah. It's weird.
A bandwagon. I went to Clemson for a few years, like I said, one game after 30 years. So you could say that I'm a bandwagon Clemson fan, but apparently Dabo doesn't want.
He doesn't want you.
Fans.
He doesn't want you.
No, he doesn't want me.
Now, can Miami lay claim to the fact that we broke Clemson's bandwagon?
Everybody's laying a claim to breaking Clemson. There's at least 5 teams.
No, I didn't say break Clemson. I said broke the bandwagon.
Oh. I guess, yeah.
Dabo broke the bandwagon.
Dabo broke the bandwagon.
I mean, there's a lot of schools, though. I mean, that and Miami's one of them. There's always been a fight between the administration of the school and the athletic department. I mean, it's kind of a famous story with Miami, but the only reason Jimmy Johnson left was because he got tired of dealing with the president of the university. Because the president just did not care about the athletics at all. And just constantly him going back and forth, Jimmy Johnson just got tired of it and said, screw it, I'm going to the NFL.
Yeah, the weird thing about Georgia Tech, though, is their non-commitment to football, like he just said, that they even stated this is not a football school, it's an athletic school. Meanwhile, They're in Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, you got southern Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, and maybe the Dallas, Texas area, and then I guess the Southern California. That's the top 4 hottest recruiting beds in the country, right in your backyard.
Metro Atlanta,
Yeah.
with all the high schools they have, and it's nothing like Texas, and I understand. It's nothing like Florida, and I understand. And even though California doesn't really care about football, it's not like, but the Metro Atlanta area, and I'm not talking about, because of the University of Georgia. I'm talking about how the high school grows the kids. I mean, how many Clemson players? I know a Clemson player that's about to go.
Oh,
there.
there's half of Clemson's team is from Georgia and Florida.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can make the argument for high school football in Georgia being definitely top 10, maybe even somewhere around number 5 nationally.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but because you think about, they have different, every state has different classifications, but of all the classifications, how many times do I see the championship? Well, this kid is going here. Well, this kid's going here. This kid's going here. So there. I live in Ackworth, which is north of Marietta, which is north of Atlanta, and and near Kennesaw, Georgia. You may have heard of Kennesaw, Georgia, more than Ackworth. But in North Cobb High School, they've got a running back, and he is committed to Clemson, and I think he's going to go there starting in January.
Yeah.
And
if I'm a highly sought after high school recruit whose goal it is to go to the NFL, and I hear an athletic director of a school that's recruiting me come out and say, we're not a football school, I'm going, well, I'm a football player.
Right.
So why would I go to somebody's school who claims they're not a football school? I'm going to go to a football school.
Right.
So even if it's true, I understand what he's saying, is that we don't just focus on football, we care about all athletics. But even if that's true, you don't say it.
That's a bad thing to say to fans too, and that, by the way, that was said 30 years ago.
Yeah, right.
And we keep living it. And, I know that they try to improve it, but it's almost like, putting a Band-Aid on a wound. That they're not real, either do it or don't do it.
Right.
That's the.
I've been the same way with Miami. I know exactly what you mean.
Well, a lot of Power 5 schools are like that. And these group of 5 that really are impressive, they don't get the chance of recruiting and TV deals. Now, I know that we've got 3, from the American Athletic that has gone to Big 12, but give them a chance, give them a time to grow. They're, if they have the same commitment that they had a few years ago, they're going to be fine. Like you look at, every time I hear about, it's not going to work out. Well, look at TC and Utah. Are they elite? Are they playoff bound? No, but they're getting that way, and they're the top of their conference. And TCU did make the playoff last year.
Yeah, places like UCF, they're set up for success. They have made a financial.
Well, UCF needs to get rid of Gus Malzahn, and they'll be a lot better off.
Well, Gus Malzahn aside, they've made a financial commitment, and now that the Power 5 money's going to start to roll in, I think within 3 or 4 years, they're going to be a legit Power 5 program.
Their fan base is for real.
Yeah.
Their fan base before they went to the Big 12 was a Power 5 fan base. The wife dragged me to some movie during Christmas when all the championships were happening. So Georgia, it was on the TV. We had this baseball player called Del Murphy, and he had a bar near the Galleria, which is close to the baseball park that they have here in Atlanta. And we were watching the championships at Murph's, and I walked in. I wanted to see, Georgia and LSU game to see what that was going to be like. But they were watching Tulane and South Florida as well, and there were 30 fans of South Florida there. and not South Florida, Central Florida.
Yeah.
And that is where, when you go to every city, like Atlanta's like this, I'm sure Memphis is like this too. You go to a certain bar, and it might be the Ohio State bar.
Yeah, we have those here.
It might be the Miami bar. Well, the Murphs across from the Atlanta Braves Stadium is the home place for the Central Florida Golden Knights. And there were 30 people there, watching their team. I mean, it wasn't hundreds, but I'm like, wow. I mean, to me, that's kind of a commitment. You're in Atlanta, and
that's how Charleston is too. Even though we're in South Carolina, yeah, there's a bunch of Clemson and South Carolina fans around here, but they're far outnumbered by everybody else because Charleston's sort of a melting pot. And there's been a military base here for forever, and now we have Boeing and a bunch of other national manufacturing companies here. So people move here from all over the country. If you go to any sports bar on Saturday in Charleston area, you're going to see more Ohio State fans, more Georgia fans, Texas fans, all the big brands than you're going to see of Clemson and South Carolina.
Wow. I would think there would be a lot of Clemson and South Carolina.
I mean, there is, but now if you go up to the Greenville area in the upstate, that's a different story because that's where Clemson is. But
right,
Charleston's sort of it's different than Columbia or Greenville in that way. It's just a lot of transplants here. Yeah,
beautiful city. I like to go down to Savannah. That area, Savannah, Georgia, is nice to visit.
Yeah, Savannah's a lot like Charleston. The sister city of Charleston is what they call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they both had. I guess they had involvement in both wars, the Revolutionary and the Civil War. So there's a lot of history.
Yeah, a lot of the Civil War history, Revolutionary War history.
Right.
Even the architecture is similar. Like for old French architecture. Oh, they're both on the water, the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, great. Well, look, guys, I won't keep you, but I do appreciate, you taking my call.
Yep. No problem, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks. Y'all take it easy.
Yes, sir.
Christian says Clemson might lose to Georgia Tech, beat Carolina and Miami both, who could be considered better than Clemson. Well, I'll just there isn't a game on Clemson's schedule that I think they couldn't possibly lose.
I mean, if you look at the pattern Georgia Tech's got, they should lose this week to Virginia, but beat Clemson the next week. I mean, they're literally going win-loss, win-loss, win-loss.
Yeah. How close am I to losing my bet with Sea Dog? How many wins do they have? 4?
Yeah.
So they got to win 2 more.
You and me both. I've already hit one part of it because Miami's bowl eligible. So they've got to win 2 more.
Let's see their schedule here. Who do they have left? They've got
Virginia, Clemson, Syracuse, and Georgia.
Yeah, Virginia, Clemson. I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah, Virginia, Clemson, Syracuse, and Georgia. You're right. So, wow.
This is going to come down to the wire.
It's going to come down to the wire. Well, if they beat Virginia this week, I'd say. And by the way, that's the CW game this week. At Georgia Tech and Virginia. If they beat Virginia, I think that they'll probably win at least one of those last 3. So they'll probably make a bowl. But if they lose to Virginia, I think they're probably toast.
Well, I think they could win it and probably still lose to Syracuse because you get down to the last couple weeks of the game and your depth really starts to show. and Georgia Tech doesn't have any.
And Syracuse doesn't really either, though.
Well, this is true.
Yeah, Virginia doesn't have any depth either. So
I'm going to predict, because I want to win my bet, I'm going to predict that they lose one of those two games, Virginia or Syracuse, but they win the other one, and then they lose to both Clemson and Georgia, which would mean they would go 5 wins.
Yeah, which is probably the most likely. And, yeah, that's where I had them, was at 5 wins.
I'm interested to see how Clemson's going to handle this. You know, there's not a single player on that team, whether they're a senior or even a sophomore, that has lost 4 games in a season or 2 games back-to-back. So I'm really interested to see how they're going to respond to that with a big game this weekend. I know it doesn't mean anything for the ACC. It doesn't mean anything for anything, really, other than their pride.
Yeah.
But I want to see, are they going to lay down, or are they going to go out there and try to punch Notre Dame in the mouth?
Well, and that's like Lou made the point this morning that, you know, and it wasn't necessarily talking about Clemson or Miami, but, you know, what do some of these teams still have to play for? I think Miami still has plenty to play for after going 5-7 last year.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, a 9 or 10 win season, I think, is not a bad season. I mean, of course, when you come in, if you're a fan and you come into the season with the expectations of conference championship, playoff berth, 11 wins, whatever your crazy ballooned expectations are, whenever you know you're not going to meet that, then all of a sudden the season's a loss. I disagree. From somebody who's not a Miami fan, I think that a 9 or 10 win season would be a huge success following last year.
Even
8 wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still have a shot at making the Cheez-It Bowl. So.
I mean, if let's just say they drop the game to Florida State, but they win everything else. So they beat NC State, they beat Louisville, and they beat Boston College, and then do what I've been harping on for years: make it to a bowl game and win it. That's still a 10-win season with your bowl game.
Yeah. And in Clemson's case, if they were to somehow win out, again, it's still a 4-loss team, but that would be a step in the right direction. It would be a couple of good wins in that time frame, at least 2.
Yeah.
And then it would also get you to a better bowl game. Right now, they're on track to go, if they even make a bowl, to go to the Birmingham Bowl or something, like the worst bowl that there is.
It's not the Cheez-It Bowl anymore, Vic. It's the Pop-Tart Bowl this year.
Pop-Tart Bowl.
And at this point, I don't even care what bowl they go to, because, I mean, you know, once you get down to the bottom quarter of the worst bowls, they're all pretty much kind of the same. But what I do care about is whatever the matchup is. Even if it's a bad bowl game, if it's an interesting matchup, then it's worth getting excited about.
Yeah, and of course, you know, I wouldn't remove us too much from Georgia Tech. Those 15 extra practices are, I mean, every coach in the country wants those.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's like it baffles the mind of Miami fans why I'm not pissed off about the Georgia Tech game. I mean, yeah, I didn't pick us to lose Georgia Tech, but I picked us to lose a game that we shouldn't, and Georgia Tech qualifies. I just picked it to be NC State instead. So, I mean, if we go out there and beat NC State, well, then big whoop. I'm just swapping NC State for Georgia Tech in that scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, don't let NC State fool you. They're not good. I know they beat Clemson last week, so they can pretend like they're good, but they're not.
Yeah, they're not good.
So I wouldn't worry too much, Slim. I think you got that one in the bag, buddy.
Yeah, I guess that means that Clemson is not good either.
Well, yeah, clearly they're not.
Yeah, and that's where I would put Miami. They're a good team. They're not a great or elite team. I don't have any worry going forward about the defense. That defense is back to being a problem. You know, offensively, I think they're somewhere in the middle between how bad Miami fans claim it to be and what's really going on.
Yeah. It's always somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
That's true with every team. Did I see what Dave Doran said about Steve Smith? Yeah, I did.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
That was good. I like that.
Yeah. What did he tell him, to kiss my ass or something like that?
Yeah, he told him come see him if he's got a problem with it.
Yeah, but yeah, big tough guy Dave Doran. Tough guy. I actually don't blame him for saying kiss my ass. I mean,
yeah, at least he's not picking on Down syndrome patients this time.
Yeah.
Got to give him credit where credit's due.
Yeah. Steve Smith. He's always talking shit about somebody.
Yeah, he is.
He's probably my favorite all-time Carolina Panther, too.
Wasn't it Steve Smith and Josh Norman that kept getting into it?
Yeah.
Whenever they played? Yeah, I remember. That was always fun to watch.
Yep. Well, then Steve Smith, left the Panthers and went to the Ravens, and they played each other. And so I think Norman was covering him. I don't think they were friends when they were on the same team together, and then I think after Steve Smith left, it got even worse.
Yeah, probably. Holy shit. It done got cold around here.
Yeah, speaking of that, it's about to get cold here, too. It's supposed to get down in the 30s, I think, one night this week. That'll be the first time that's happened here.
Yeah, it's supposed to here, too. Like, our highs tomorrow is supposed to be in the upper 40s.
Yeah. This past week has been, every day has been 80 degrees and sunny. It's been beautiful.
We were good until it started raining Saturday, and then, like, the high yesterday was in the 50s. And then it started raining again late last night, early this morning. And I don't think it's broke 50 yet. So much for fall. Winters is just like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, we don't get much of a fall here either. It goes from hot to cold.
Yeah.
Fine. I got a big week coming up next week. I got the Notre Dame game this weekend. Then Nate comes in on Wednesday of next week.
And then you have a house full that Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday, Nate will be here. I think Lou and Battle Angel are going to come down.
Well, you invited anybody to come that wanted to.
Yeah.
I started to. I thought about starting a campaign on Twitter just to get as many people as we can to show up to piss off your HOA.
Yeah. I don't know. Scott Kerr might come over. I haven't heard from him this week, but yeah, we'll have
I wouldn't see why not.
We'll have a little shindig over here. Looking forward to that. Open invite. Yeah, Nature Boy, come on, man. I don't know how far of a drive it is from where you are.
Yeah, it's I'd make it, but it's about a 12 and a half hour drive.
I know Bulldog Brian lives in Charleston. Cousin Casey. Shit, he lives about 5 doors down from me.
Oh, I didn't know he was that close to you.
Yeah, he's the next street over in my neighborhood.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I'm in South Carolina, Summerville, just outside of Charleston. 5 hours? Is it that far? I can get to Lou's house in 2 hours, flat. Exactly 2 hours, from door to door. You must be a lot further. Where are you? Are you in Albany? He's in Albany, isn't he?
Nature Boy, yeah. Yeah, that's South Georgia.
Right. He lives near my brother then. I don't know how far is Albany from Warner Robins. My brother lives in Warner Robins.
Few hours. Warner Robins is more central Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Like Albany's probably, you can probably cross the state line in less than 2 hours from Albany, down into Florida.
If Clemson goes to the Birmingham Bowl, let's meet up, Pete. Well, that'd be great, except I'm not going to attend the Birmingham Bowl. So,
you're not going to go support your Tigers in the Birmingham Bowl?
No. I'm supporting them this weekend.
So that sounds like some fair weather bandwagon type shit right there.
No, a fair weather bandwagon would have sold or given away their Notre Dame tickets because they're upset. Not me.
That's true.
Yeah, anybody who doesn't sell their ticket or give it away this weekend. So everybody in that stadium will be a non-bandwagon fan.
Well, I think we've already established that Miami broke the bandwagon, so they should all be gone.
Pastor Dave says he'll buy the tickets. Well, I mean, what do they get, $10? I mean, really? You'd probably be giving them away for free. Anyway, I do have to end the show, though. 1 o'clock. Vic, are you still there? Vic? Uh-oh. All right, Vic. It's nice talking to you, buddy. Slim? What's going on here? Am I the only one that lost audio for these guys? Yeah, I don't know what's happening. I can't hear them if they're talking. Slim, if you can hear me, thanks for coming on, buddy. I don't know what's going on with the StreamYard. Everything looks all right on my end. Of course, we couldn't have one single midday. The very first midday show on the second channel, it almost went off without a hitch until the end there. Anyway, I will be back tonight on Uncle Lou's main channel. We'll do the Lunch Money Show. We'll go over some of the betting lines for this week, tell you how to lose some money. And also probably look at the Heisman odds for the first time in several weeks. All right, everybody, thanks for stopping in. I will see you guys tonight at 10 o'clock. Have a great Monday.